Cool. We're recording. This is the SIG network meeting for July 7th, 2022. Gonna shake it up and start with a CAP review this time.
All right. So I thought it was useful to walk through the OpenCAPs, which are tracked as issues. We can also look at the CAP dashboard if we want, if we have time. I did take a quick spin through it as some PRs are coming through now, and I moved some things around in there. But as we look at these, maybe I'll just encourage people to go figure out whether their tiles in the dashboard are correct or not. So in no particular order, I mean, I guess it's actually the whatever order GitHub showed them to me in. We have a CAP for support services with same SRV name on different protocols, which I'm not sure that I'm even tracking. It's not even on the dashboard. It is now. So I haven't looked at this one at all, and I don't know if anybody else has. Oh, it's already marked stale because nobody's looked at it. This issue. I'm sure most of us remember this issue. They want to put the same SRV name on different ports with same port number, different protocol, which we usually see in DNS. And we can't because Kubernetes demands that the port name be unique, and this will not fly. So I'm going to unstale it since we didn't even really know it was there. Anybody who wants to look at this should.
This will fall down in the pod as well, right? Because you need to have the, well, you have the port number here, okay, so you don't need to resolve the port number down in the pod.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure how to solve this, but since somebody took the effort of starting a discussion, it's worth, I guess, following up on. Next, Mr. Windship, are you here?
He should be on vacation.
Okay, good for him. I did actually review a bunch of PRs from him this week. A bunch of PRs. Good grief, that guy's been busy. So this is an active CAP. He is, in fact, working on cleaning this up. Antonio should also be on vacation and not be here. This one, I think, moved to beta in 25. So I think I moved this tile in the dashboard. This is the static, using the bottom half of the static bottom half of the service range for static allocations. This one, I haven't looked at this cycle. Anybody have context or anything they want to add on this? I know I was pretty vocally against prefer as a policy. I understand the sentiment of it, but I'm not sure that policy is the right way to express it.
Just in 5 seconds, Tim, what would be the right way to express it in your opinion?
I don't know, but I feel like it's conflating policy, which is like a thou shalt sort of thing, with a preference, like an optimization mode.
So it would use local if possible, right?
And
not
that's the semantic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's got some overlap with topology, kind of, right?
Yeah, I mean, sort of also similar things when people do lags. I mean, that you, in some switches, you prefer local and don't load balance over the entries, but and that's there. The policy called prefer local, typically in Juniper switches, and I think Cisco as well.
Right.
So
I get it. I understand it as an optimization. It feels like the sort of thing that, like topology, that we should be able to do automatically and not make the users tell us about, right? Because it's not a semantic thing. It's not like if you talk to someone non-local, it's wrong. It's just an optimization.
So yes, again, you're saying that the decision is made in another layer of the abstraction stack, and they shouldn't even know how the traffic comes in reality.
Yeah, I mean, the user should be expressing, like, do the most optimal thing as smartly as you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, the problem that we have is that this was for DNS. We want to be able to have things talk to the DNS on their local node, but if for some reason that is not there because it is being upgraded, restarted, whatever, don't just fail DNS, go to a different node. And we don't care at that point. It's more of an optimization for latency.
Yeah. So like I said, I haven't read this one for this cycle, and it's not in for 25. So we should revisit this for 26 and figure out what we think the right way of expressing this is. And if it really turns out that policy is the sort of least bad way of expressing it, I won't block it too hard, but it's just not my favorite model. Next, network policy status. I don't know if Ricardo's here today.
I saw him.
I am, yeah.
Do you want to say 30 seconds on this?
Sorry, Tim. On what? Probably not. I wasn't listening.
Okay. Network policy status. Ricardo and I had a conversation last week about whether to actually proceed this or not. The question being if it feels like it's redundant with implementations which would implement a webhook for saying their status or their feature isn't implemented. So maybe we ought not actually do this.
Yeah, I think we discussed that on the last meeting as well, right? Last SIG network meeting.
Yeah.
We did, yeah.
So it's not in for 25. We should revisit for 26.
Yeah, I will do that. I'll update this.
CNI traffic shaping support. This one seems to continually fall through the cracks. Lars, are you here?
Yeah, I don't know
what
to do with it because the function is there. It's just, and it's documented. It's just have been stuck in alpha, as you can see. But when discussing it, everybody has an opinion on it, and it shouldn't be as it is. It should be something else entirely. So I don't know how to handle this.
Can that go with the CNI 2.0 instead? Discussions, just break it in there.
I mean, theoretically it could, but like this has been an alpha annotation on pods since the beginning of time.
Oh, well.
And it's kind of like, why is it still hanging around? Should we just formalize it now because everybody supports it as far as I know, and then do something better and more flexible for the future? So
in my mind, this comes to the same discussion as the IPAM requesting families per pod. It's a wormhole from the user to the implementation. Like, should we be adding an API for this at the pod level, or some other form of API that lets the user or the administrator, honestly, express policies about address allocation and network performance that may or may not be implemented by particular network plugins?
I mean, I think if we were going to redo this, it would not have been done like this.
For sure. And Lars, I apologize. This one was sort of on my queue, but it was difficult and I kept finding other things to do, and then the deadline hit. So we should revisit this one for 26. Well, I see this one and the I want IPAM control per pod. I see them as the same problem. Like, we need an API that lets somebody at the pod scope make assertions about the networking level.
But but this is a little bit harder in my opinion, because everybody think they know what bandwidth is, but nobody does. I wish Antonio was here because we're on the same page at that.
Okay.
It's easy to express, but it's very hard to implement in a good way.
Right.
Especially so low bandwidths. You have a 25 gig NIC and start scheduling 10 meg.
Right. I guess the implementation gets super complicated too. I'm going to milestone this up to 26. And we'll have to revisit it. But I would like to revisit it because I think it and the other IP problem are real problems.
I can say why it's requested from my users. They have file transfers that blocks the NICs basically, and they use this to limit the bandwidth from pods.
Yeah.
And they only use it from pods as stated in the Cilium documentation. It's not reasonable to have it for incoming traffic because you can just drop packets that is already there.
Right. So the problem that I always have with this, and the discussion that always comes back to with this is a literal limit what people want? In some use cases, yes. In other use cases, it's just don't prevent other people from accessing it. They want like prioritized access to the bandwidth, right? And other people literally want to schedule bandwidth and reserve it. So we have, I think, the unclear set of requirements. All right, pushing ahead. gRPC did not make progress this cycle, I think. I don't know if Bowie's here. No, I think it did
he's
not.
out this week, but I'm pretty sure this has just unfortunately not had any time on it.
And it's already in beta, so. Okay. Status host IPs for pod. This one was on me to review, and I didn't get to it this cycle. Pretty sure, yeah. So we'll have to just revisit for next cycle. Expanded DNS configuration. I even forget what this one is. Does anybody remember? Oh, is this the more than 6 search paths? I think it is. Let's look. Oh, well, that's helpful. Yes. Okay. We need to figure out if we're going to do this or not. It's not in 25. It is alpha already, so I guess we're doing it. I didn't really see any problems with it. It just didn't get touched this cycle. All right, multi IPAM. That's on 25. This one is going to take another shot at getting merged, right? Anybody? Rahul, or I know Antonio is paying attention to the review on this. This is the one that the API part made it right up against the wire, the 24 cycle. So I'm presuming that we're pushing ahead with this. Dual stack API server didn't get touched this cycle, I think. Yeah, it's not milestone. And Dan's out. Okay. Anybody has any other context on this one? Okay. Topology, Rob.
Yeah, there's a few minor changes I want to make in this cycle, but because we had the delayed real graduation to beta or beta on by default, I think this has to probably wait to 126 to get to stable.
Okay.
Which, yeah, it's already.
Yeah, it's not on the spreadsheet, so it's not in 25. So, but the goal is to go stable in 26.
I'd say that's earliest. I do want to go to stable soon, but it needs a little bit more work. Yeah.
Okay. Kube proxy, KPNG. Anybody wants to talk about this?
Well, I have, like I said, I've been out for 2 months. I only done the 2 last meetings, but things are moving on and they're writing a cap. We are writing a cap. Excellent.
I pity whoever has to resync all the IP tables logic because Dan Windship has been elbow deep in that stuff.
Dan has started to join the meetings, so that will hopefully help a bit. So Dan is helping out with the cap and getting things lined up.
Great. Okay, admin network policy has a PR open for alpha. So obviously, I mean, it's not really version locked anyway because it's a CRD. Any updates they want to mention on this?
Thought the PR was merged.
Great. I wasn't tracking it. I still need to look at it, but they told them to go ahead without me. Okay. Admin network policy. Internal traffic policy. So here we get into the Andrew Kim batch. And I know Andrew's out on paternity. So this did not push forward in 25, so it's already been milestone to 26. Likewise, this one, load balancer class. Likewise, well, his other ones. Antonio's multiple service siders. The KEP looks pretty solid. I have yet to look at a PR, but he says he's got a working prototype of it. The fun part is intersecting this with his other one, which is the service ranges. So we got to figure that out, the static ranges. But overall, this KEP looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Optionally disable node ports for type load balancer. Didn't this GA?
I think
it's just only open to remove the gate. It is GA. Cool. We need a better. I'm trying to think about a better way to track it, because there's a desire to sort of close issues once they're implemented, but we still have to come back and remove the gate. So there's some, like if you look at the dashboard, there's some that are closed, but still on the dashboard because they still need to have their gates removed. This one I'm arguing we should leave open. Cool.
Closed or open, as long as it's still in the dashboard with the milestone of the one that it needs to be removed. And if the last comment says, hey, come back in 1.26 and remove this or whatever.
Yeah,
I know you did that for dual stack, and that one's sitting there, and it's like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, yes, it's just confusing to see it in the dashboard and then it's closed, but it's closed because we still have to remove the gate. So it's not really closed, but we don't have a state to represent it. Okay, make Kubernetes aware of load balancer behavior. This is the IP mode thing, I think, and I sort of woke it up in late 2021 and then let it age out, and then was doing some house cleaning yesterday and realized that I had let that fall into the cracks. So I woke it back up, at least the PRs that are open to prep for this. So maybe 26. I'll stick it on myself. Another Andrew, this one is for 26. Also for 26. And this one, I believe, is beta in 25.
So it went to beta in 24, and
GA in 20?
if you scroll down to the bottom, I updated it. I know it's very long. I updated it today from looking at what you said. Okay, so I didn't file anything for 25. I don't think there's any blockers to it, but I didn't make the enhancement cutoff. So I don't know if I need to file for 25 or we just wait for 26. It's kind of like, because it went to beta in 24, I kind of wanted to give it a little time to make sure nothing, the world didn't explode. But if you believe that it should move forward, I said, I think that they might want more docs, but yeah.
If we didn't put it in the spreadsheet already,
no. Because I wanted to give it one release, kind of like we did with dual stack. Just let it sit and see if anybody complains before we change the world.
This one seems pretty low risk, but yes, I moved it to 26.
I agree. Okay. Thanks.
So that's it. My main point here today being we have 22 OpenCAPs, and we should close out as many of these as we can before we open too many more. Many of these have been around a long time, and they just need the final bows put on and a little bit of polish and docs and last testing. I would love to close out all of the terminating endpoints stuff, and the topology stuff has been really long in the tooth. Those would be my goals for 26, is to close out as many of these as we can. That's all I have for that, and I'm going to have to drop in a few minutes. So I will hand it over, and we can do issue triage next time, or async.
Sounds good. The only other item on the agenda was from Alexander.
Yeah, it was just a general poke concerning the problem that I had mentioned right before KeepGone about syncing load balancers on really big clusters where you have a many-to-many relationship between load balancers and nodes. Tim, I had poked you personally on Slack about that. Yeah, so I poked Bowie as well because he had mentioned that he was interested in the problem. But anybody on this meeting, please have a look. This is happening on live clusters for my company at least, hence why I'm kind of pushing for it. So
I've got it open here on my screen, and I will look at it ASAP.
Okay, thanks so much. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Great. Do we want to do a couple minutes of triage before 9:30?
We can do that, sure. Give me a moment.
Don't appear to be very many, so.
Yep, so I'm already sort of halfway through. I removed well, the ones I've looked at so far, I've removed the ones that, Dan or somebody has commented on. And this is where I've left off. So I've got about 8 left that I haven't looked at. So missing port mutation test. Jay, are you around?
He's not.
No. It's really just about testing.
So there's a PR for this one, I think, and Jay was all over reviews for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Add a port mutation test. Okay. Jay is very good at filing issues and then opening PRs to fix them. All right. Should the available condition controller support optional checks for endpoints? I don't know what this is. Somebody want to help me what AA is?
Authentication authorization. So, can't think of anything else.
Okay, doesn't seem to fit the context.
Can it be that the quad? Could it be an A record?
Maybe
aggregation API server.
That's what I was just going to guess. Aggregated API server. Now that I read it on, maybe that's a acronym, a jargon from the API machinery SIG, but I don't know. I don't know any of the words in this. I don't know what the available condition controller is. I know what endpoints are. Okay. Has anybody even looked at this? No. Signed to SIG network, but
sounds like I might be missing another SIG as well.
SIG, yeah, API machinery.
Where go there? Okay. UDP packet IPVS Atom timeout.
I think this one is being handled. There's a bunch of discussion at the end.
Whoa. All right. Cool. We'll revisit it in 2 weeks, I guess. See if it's real triage. Lars, do you mind if I sign this to you, or not that involved?
He's pretty involved.
Basically, I'm not going to do it because it's a so specialized case. He wants half a DSR, a direct server return. He wants to spread the packets all along and all around and don't care return traffic, because that he's handling in other ways. And that is a weird case that I can't explain. I can understand it, but it's hard to explain in public documentation. So those kind of features I tend to deny if I can.
That's fine. You are entitled to, since you have the context here, if you think this is not something we should do, then you can go ahead and close this issue. Or if you think it is something we should do, but it's not super important, then you can say triage accepted.
Yeah, I have.
Sorry, say again.
It's a bit hard. I would like to see what he comes up with, because I have said that he should write the pull request.
Lars, you mean this is some sort of Anycast address registered to pods, and one of them should?
No,
You're at 9:30, by the way, Tim. Don't want to.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to drop in a minute. Okay, Lars, I put you on it. If you don't feel cool with that, please feel free to unassign yourself. Or, you know, you can just, this is not for you to fix it. It's just for you to decide whether it's real or not, and accept triage or close.
I mean, the problem is real. It's whether we actually want to fix it by adding a special use case.
Fair. Okay. I'm going to stop here. We're actually at the ones that we covered 2 weeks ago, so that's good. Stop share. And I'm going to have to drop off.
Right.
Feel free to continue without me. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye.
So we don't have any other agenda items. So unless there's something anyone wanted to talk about, but they didn't put on the agenda, I would propose we just give half an hour back. Cool. Sounds like see you guys later.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a nice weekend.